People listening to this podcast want to hear something from you. What do you think is the best thing that they can learn?
Wow, what a huge question to toss my way.
Dr. Joe Vitale, welcome. You're known as one of the world's most acclaimed spiritual teachers on manifestation, abundance, and living a truly good life, which is important in this day and age. Or
What?
important to me and to the book that we're collaborating on, getting out into the world, on tap into your best money life. You've become a global phenomenon with A Secret, author of more than 90 books, creator of the award-winning film Zero Limits, which is your latest of, I think, many movies, and the recipient of the 2024 US Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. I believe you're also the president of the Napoleon Hill Institute, and you've inspired millions worldwide to achieve their full potential. So welcome today. When I started following you and you became my long-distance mentor and hero, it was about spiritual and hypnotic marketing. And then later it developed into how do we manifest money. I'd love the conversation to explore the money stories and unconscious beliefs that shape prosperity and money, and then how to use that and support a life we love, our best life.
I'm 72 years old. I have been in this work for at least 50 years. I have been publicly teaching it for 30 to 40 years. I've written 90 books. I'm in 30 movies. Of course, The Secret, and my own movie, Zero Limits. I have so much that I could share and I could talk about. To reduce it all into a kind of a soundbite, I would say, first of all, there is a life force that's trying to help you. You can call it God, you can call it the divine, but you're not here alone. It may feel like it. I know when I was homeless and in poverty, certainly felt alone. But I later discovered I wasn't alone. The second thing that I would say is that very same life force is sending ideas to you. They come in the form of inspirations, they come in the form of intuitions, they come in the form of visions. Most of us talk ourselves out of them. Most of us dismiss them. Most of us rationalize why we aren't the one to do them. But I have learned that's the second thing. It is trying to help with these gifts of ideas and inspirations. And the third thing I would say is we have to take action on those ideas. I call what I do applied wisdom. It's one thing to have books that you read or movies that you watch or masterminds that you attend, but unless you take the nuggets of gold and apply them, you pretty much stay where you are. So I would say to reduce all of this to these three thoughts, the very first is you're not alone. There's a divine force, call it what you will, that is trying to help you and is watching over you. Second, that same divine force is sending you ideas that can help you blossom, to grow, and of course, to make money. And the third is it is your job to co-create those dreams into reality by taking inspired action. This is the applied wisdom that makes a difference.
I love that.
Five decades.
I put you on the spot, but you know what, Joe? As you've evolved and I've been following your work, you have come up with 4 levels that I'd like you to explain to people.
I wrote a book called The Awakened Millionaire and another book called The Awakening Course. In these books, my latest understanding of life is that we go through 4 levels of consciousness. The very first level I call victimhood, and we can all relate to it because we've all been victims of one sort or another. I was, as you pointed out, when I was homeless. And when I was homeless, I was not looking for a divine power. I was looking for a job. I was not looking for metaphysical insight. I was looking for a hamburger and coffee and a place to live. I was very much into struggle. And in that first stage of consciousness, you're not really aware of your spiritual abilities. You're not really aware of your options. You're really stuck into you against the universe. And it feels like the universe is stacked up to keep you down. It is a very sad place to be. It is a very weak place to be. And unfortunately, the vast majority of the world is there. Henry David Thoreau said the majority of men lead lives of quiet desperation. Well, it's men and women. And that's the victimhood stage. But that's not the stage we have to stay at. And this is the stage I want to take people out of and let victimhood be an option. If you want to play victim, you can do so, but do it with awareness. So the second stage is when you have the aha But you don't have to be a victim, and you can be empowered. Empowerment is an exciting stage because it's the stage of consciousness where you feel like you're Superman or you're Superwoman. You're feeling your abilities. You're feeling your innate powers. You watch a movie like The Secret, or you watch my movie, Zero Limits, or you read a book like The Attractor, many of the different success literature books that are out there. And you start to realize, oh, I can have, do, or be virtually anything. And it's an exciting place to be. Empowerment feels like a supernatural energy is infusing you.
And
That's only
again, I know that's only the second stage, but how long did it take you to go from victimhood to that stage? And what was a sign that you were in it, and for how long?
well, you got to remember when I was doing all this individual work, there was no internet. There was none of the bells and whistles we take for granted today. No iPhones, no apps, none of these things that can assist us in our knowledge and our growing and our expanding. The only coaching back then was little league coaching and football coaching. If there was any sort of self-help coaching, I didn't know about it, and I couldn't have afforded it anyway. So for me, it took a very long time. Most of my young to early adult life was all in victim mentality. It was all in that. But I was knocking at the door of empowerment. I was knocking at the door, trying to push through. I was reading books like Think and Grow Rich. I was reading books like The Magic of Believing. I was reading Dale Carnegie. I was reading the success literature. I was trying to apply this by myself using my limited understanding at the time. I could not break through for a good 10 years or more. And it was probably more. But because of the various insights I had and beliefs about money, beliefs about deservingness, operating beliefs in my life that I didn't know, once I awoke to those, then I could break out of victimhood and move into empowerment. And this is what we all need to do. We need to realize that in most cases, we're playing the victim role. In most cases, the beliefs we have are invisible to us because we think they are life. We think this is reality. And it's not life. It's not reality. It's your life, your reality based on your beliefs. And when you break from that, you move into empowerment.
I think there's a lovely story you tell about gratitude for the pencil.
You are correct. And that is a great observation because sometimes I forget to talk about that story. But I was a victim, and being and feeling like a victim, I felt pretty hopeless. And I was reading all these books and I kept talking about gratitude. Oh, feel grateful for your life. Feel grateful for what you already have. And I'd get mad. I'd say, you don't understand. I'm homeless. I'm in poverty. I'm starving. I got no job, no relationship. Nothing's going on. How can I be grateful for any of this? And then yet the books and the teachers kept saying, be grateful, be grateful. And I thought, all right, I'm going to try this nonsense. And I picked up a pencil. I'm picking up a pen right now, but I picked up a pencil. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to be grateful for this pencil. I was not grateful. I was being skeptical and critical and flippant. But I thought, I'll be grateful for this pencil. Yeah, with this pencil, I can write a suicide note. I can write a raging letter of anger. I can write a poem. I can write a song. I can write a novel. I can write a manifesto. And then I started to realize I could do some pretty powerful things with this pencil.
Yes.
And my energy started to change. And I started to genuinely feel grateful for that piece of wood. And then I looked at the other end and there was an eraser and I went, oh my God, this is genius. I can erase the suicide note. I can write a grocery list and erase the things I already bought. What a piece of genius this is. I don't know who invented the pencil, but my God, this is legendary. This is historic. This is something that we all did use and still use today. And it's a piece of wood with lead in it and a piece of rubber on the other end. I genuinely went in about 1 minute from skeptical and angry and bitter to truly great. And that was opening the door to empowerment.
Yes, I love
That
it.
was-
People love a story like that because it comes from your truth, and they often feel like that. And as you say, what's there to be grateful for? And, you know, you hear it all. And there's the pencil story that brings it on. And so then these are the turning points I love to bring out of people. So then in your empowerment phase, what happened in empowerment? Where did the secret come along then? Or just tell us the next stage and what was the turning point to the next level that you went?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. And I love that you're helping me to illustrate these different levels with stories from my own life. So yes, the first stage is victimhood, and we talked about me suffering in there, but picking up a pencil, which helped me find gratitude and sincerely open the door to empowerment. So in empowerment, I'm starting to learn about the power of visualization, the power of your thought, the power of mind, the power of taking action. And yes, all the books suddenly make sense. Thank you, Rinse suddenly makes sense. Magic of Believing suddenly makes sense. Movies like The Secret show up and reinforce this whole idea of empowerment. And it's a powerful place to be. However, along that same journey, I started to hear about a Hawaiian healing technique and a therapist who helped heal an entire ward of mentally ill criminals, not by working on them, but by working on himself. And suddenly I'm being introduced to the third stage of awakening, which is surrender. And what are you surrendering to? You're surrendering your ego to the divine, to a higher power. Ho'oponopono was the Hawaiian healing method. I ended up meeting the therapist, working with the therapist. We did 3 events together over 10 years. We wrote books together. I did Zero Limits with him. I followed it up with other books like At Zero, The Fifth Phrase, Zero Limits Living. This began a whole new wave and turning point in Joe's life. But it was taking me not to dismiss empowerment, but to include empowerment with working with the divine, working with God, if you will. That's moving me into this stage of surrender. And I don't mean surrender like when you say surrender and you're in victimhood stage, it's like, I give up. I can't win. I give up. I roll over. I'm dead. No, surrender in this third stage is about joining forces with the higher power that gave you life. You're joining forces. So you're surrendering your ego, and the ego is pretty dominant in the first stage and the second stage. But in the third stage, you're starting to say, you know what, divine, you drive the bus and I will serve you. That is that third stage of surrender. And Ho'oponopono had a lot to do with it.
Can you go through how those steps help you reach the 0 point where you can connect with the divine and allow your mission to come through in purpose? Am I right? And is that the way it works?
Yes, I say the fourth stage of awakening is an awakening itself. And that is a stage where many people who have gone through history and experienced it have called enlightenment. That is the stage where you have this awakening that you are the divine living and breathing through this particular vessel called your body. But you're no longer attached to the mind or no longer attached to the body, no longer attached to the personality. You know, it is your astronaut suit, so to speak, and you're the spirit within it, living out this human life as a spiritually aware being. So it's a little difficult to describe, which is why enlightenment isn't something most people experience. And enlightenment comes from grace anyway. It's not something you manipulate. You don't take a pill for it. There's not an app for it. There's not a particular meditation that guarantees it. You prepare yourself for awakening, but it comes from grace. So to back up and go through these 4 stages of awakening, the very first stage is victimhood. And I would say virtually everybody's born into it. I've often asked people, were your parents Mr. and Mrs. Buddha? And they would laugh and say, no, not at all. They were programmed too. They were living as victims for the most. They had their own lack of limitation mindset. And then along the way, you see the movie The Secret or Zero Limits or read a book, maybe mine, or see an event like this. And you have that, oh, aha, I don't have to be a victim. I get to choose where I go. I get to learn about the power of intention. I get to have, do, and be what I want. And, oh my God, that's thrilling. And you start to experience that until something happens. And something could be a pandemic. It puts you in your place. You realize, wait a minute, if I was in charge of the universe, I wouldn't have had a pandemic.
Exactly. And I think you've had a few times where that's happened to you. I was just reading one of the books where you said after your father died and you went through a divorce, turning points, I keep calling them. Okay, can you explain why these tragic moments perhaps in our lives have a doorway to another level in them? Or am I right?
You are right. It is a doorway to another level. Most of us don't know that at the time because we are hurting. We're reeling. We're in grief. We are in some way, shape, or form reacting to what just happened, and usually with anger and confusion. And we don't realize, wait a minute, this could be a good thing and this could be a spiritual awakening experience. You referenced what I was going through. During the pandemic, I also went through a divorce, a very ugly divorce that lasted 3 years, exhausting on all levels, emotionally, financially, everything you could name. During the same time, my father died. During the same time, my mother died. During the same time, my best friend died. During the same time, a family member attempted suicide and shot himself. During the same time, I developed a new relationship with a woman who developed a Lyme disease and was on her deathbed, and I was her caretaker during pandemic, divorce, funerals, grief, confusion, drama, tragedy, all of this. So I'm going through all of this, and you have to keep in mind, oh, Joe, he's the self-help guy. He's a spiritual guy. He's in the movie The Secret. He has his own movie, Zero Limits. He's immune to
You
life
have to laugh. You have to
experiences.
laugh, but that's exactly why I'm getting you to tell us, because I don't want people to walk away from this interview thinking, give us the 3 steps that we must take. But
And
you
we'll
also
never have a
say,
problem here.
yeah,
Let me say something I think is really important. This was a disservice from the movie The Secret. And this is a mistake people who watch The Secret or even watch my movie Zero Limits make. And a lot of the people who read the self-help books, they make this same mistake. And the mistake is they learn something about reality and they learn something about happiness and they walk away thinking, I will never have a problem again.
yes,
That's the mistake because they think, oh, I found sunshine. And they forget it is going to rain again. There is going to be a dark day again. There is going to be a disappointment again. There is going to be somebody who dies again. There is going to be some sort of injury or illness again. What you have to learn is maintain your center
yes, this is what
as
you
you
want to hear.
walk through the moment by moment escapade of life. I've said that life is basically a roller coaster. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. All you have to do is sit in your seat and buckle up. You can enjoy all of it. You can enjoy all of it with the right mindset. What helps us get through tough times and what helps us create, no matter what's going on in our lives, is to have some tools. I love having tools. And one of my favorite tools is from Neville Goddard. I ended up coining the word Nevilleizing to label his process. And his process is basically around the concept of feel it real. Now, what does that mean? If, for example, you're wanting more money in your life, most people are sitting here going, I want more money in my life. And what they are doing is leaving themselves in a state of longing. They're actually not in a state of creating, they're in a state of wanting. And as long as they're wanting, they're not actually creating. What Neville said is instead of longing for what you want, pretend you already have it. What would it feel like if you were already wealthy? What would it feel like if you were already in a relationship? What would it feel like if you were already healed? Feel it real. Feel it real. Neville said in one of his books, I have a collection of books and many of them are autographed by him. And one of his quotes in the book says, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What does that mean? Assume the end result feeling of having your intention manifested. So if you do want more money, more sales, a better business, whatever the money thing is for you, just go to the end result. If you already had it, if somebody wove a magic wand around you and granted that wish, feel like, how would you feel inside? Who would you talk to? How would you act? Get into the full bodied experience of already having the very thing you're longing for. Now you're not longing for it. Now you're owning it. That's Nevilleizing, and you speed up the process of manifestation when you Nevelize.
Do you see this as related to connecting with your future self?
I think the future self scenario and technique is useful, but Nevilleizing is not saying imagine your future self, imagine your present self.
Yes.
Your present self already fulfilled with whatever it is that otherwise you would be longing for, or wanting, or scripting, or intending. But you delete all of that, you skip over that, you jump right to the end, and you're feeling it. So I'm a car guy, and if I was imagining having another car, I wouldn't just say, "Oh, I'm visualizing a Lamborghini," or "I have a Lamborghini on my vision board." No, I'd sit here and say, "I went for a ride in my Lamborghini this morning. Oh my God, it was a rush." And when I came back, everybody was taking pictures of it. I parked it in the driveway, and I got the keys right here in my desk. Well, none of that happened, but because I pretended it did and stepped into the embodiment of it, all of my energy, my enthusiasm, my vibration just shot through the roof, which moves me closer to actually manifesting it.
Yes, exactly. We're going to end on another question, but first, where can people find you right now with what you're offering the world?
I think the best place is just on Instagram because I post original content there every day. And I'm Dr. Joe Vitale there, DrJoeVitale. I got websites everywhere. The movie's at zerolimitsmovie.com. My main site is mrfire.com, mrfire.com. I've got coaching at zerolimitsliving.com. But I would say the simple thing is go to Instagram and follow Dr. Joe Vitale. Expect miracles.
Fantastic. Thank you. The last question. If someone watching could rewrite just one sentence in their money story, what would you encourage that sentence to be?
There's a quote from Arnold Patton that changed my life when it came to understanding money. And this would be the one sentence. And it's not from me, it's from Arnold Patton, who was a spiritual teacher and author. He said, "The sole purpose of money is to express appreciation." The sole purpose of money is to express appreciation. When you start to consider that whatever you're buying, whatever you're paying for, whatever bills you have, and you're shelling out money for it, that you're doing it as a way of saying thank you, that money is used to say, I appreciate this product or this service, it will transform your relationship to money and make it easier for you to attract money, keep money, and circulate money.
Fantastic. I think that's a lovely way to end it. Why do you think the time has come for people to get together and tell the turning points in their money stories?
What would you do if you weren't worried about money? What would you do if you were fearless? What would you do if you knew there was a guarantee that your actions would lead to success no matter what? What would you go for? What would you do if you quit using money as the excuse for not doing it?
And that would be a question that we could put to people who want to contribute a chapter to tap into your best money life, their turning point, when they realize
Yes.
that money didn't have to hold them back.
People make the mistake of not going for their dreams because they think they need money. Money is very often the excuse. All they really need is creativity and boldness.
My dream is that people will be attracted to get together with others and you leading with the Foreword to explore this, to explore different levels and stories that they have overcome, because we want turning points for coaches, healers, and transformational experts with powerful real-life money stories. Wonderful. So I want to leave you with Joe's question. What would you go for? What would you do if you stopped using money as the excuse for not doing it? And when was a time you proved this to be true by overcoming an inner block and stepping into the magic of your dreams? I'd love to hear your story. Applications are now open in August for a big launch in April 2027. I'll put the link in the description.